Hi everyone, and welcome to this special video presentation on Instagram and Facebook stories with the City of Joondalup Libraries. I'm Amanda Kendall, and you might have seen me speak at a City of Joondalup library in the past, and today we're doing it on video. Now, what's an Instagram or Facebook story? You might know about them already, and if you don't, you've seen them, you just didn't know what they were perhaps. So they are the little stories. They're little circles on Instagram, little rectangles on Facebook. They're right at the top of your feed. And if you haven't played around with them yet, I hope you'll want to after this short presentation because they are lots of fun. So let's go. Today we're going to cover what exactly is a story, why might you use a story, how to reply to a story, how to make stories in Instagram, and how to make stories in Facebook. They're really similar, but not exactly the same. Remember that Facebook owns Instagram, so they are pretty similar, but they are used in just slightly different ways. So that's one of my stories on the right. You can see there's a location tag, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, a hashtag, relax, and a fun little GIF saying pool. It's actually moving if you could see it in video form. That's just one of many stories I've made over the years. So what is it? As I said, a story is something you find in a circle across the top of Instagram, or in Facebook, often it'll show up as a small rectangle. They're really at the top of your feed. Snapchat actually started this whole idea by having content, posts that you could make that would disappear. And until then, we hadn't really had something quite like that. So that's the whole point of a story in a sense. So it's temporary. It'll disappear after 24 hours. Unless there's an exception, of course. In Instagram, you can put it into your highlight folder and then you can find it forever. Like the one I've done on the left there. It's from a trip to Denmark and that's in there for anyone to find. You can include lots of things in a story, photo or video, words and pictures and lots of tags, and we'll talk about it in a minute, what exactly you can put on there. People can reply to your story and you can add multiple stories. A lot of people will put a few stories up at once. Now, why might you use a story? So instead of always posting in your main feed on Instagram or Facebook, a story is often a bit more personal, a bit more casual, maybe includes multiple photos or multiple videos. So it's not kind of clogging up your feed where everyone sees it, in a really big form, but people can find it if they want to. You might want to use one because it's creative and it's entertaining, like it's just really fun. It can also be a great way to interact with people, and you can, if you want to, you can choose to share only with certain people. Now, if you are reading people's stories, this is an example on Instagram, you might want to reply to them. And that's one thing I really love about stories is people tend to get really engaged. They tend to reply and have a really good conversation. So you can see in this example on the left, down the bottom of the story, you can see a box that says send message. So you can just tap on that, type into it, and the message will go into the direct messages of the person. And if they reply back, same thing, it'll show up in the direct messages in your Instagram account. Occasionally, users of Instagram will have this message send facility turned off and you just can't. So if that box is not there along the bottom, that means you just unfortunately cannot send them a message. Occasionally people turn this off by accident. So if it's someone you know, send them a message in some other way and ask them if that's the case. How do you make an Instagram story? I have to say I've taught lots of people how to do this over the years because I think it's not exactly intuitive. It takes quite a fair bit of tapping around before you figure it out. So let me go through step by step. When you're in Instagram, tap on your profile photo. So it's on the top left there, you can see in my picture. If you haven't posted any stories in the last 24 hours, there'll be a little blue cross on that picture as well, the little blue plus sign. If it's the first time you've made a story, your phone and Instagram will probably ask you, can we have access to your camera? Can we have access to your microphone? So you'll have to say yes to both of those before you can make a story. So then you need kind of the basis for your story, which is usually a photo or a video. So you can either take a photo or take a video. It'll be kind of a camera screen that comes up. Or there was a button in the bottom left where you can access your camera roll or your photo gallery to use something that you took earlier. Then the real fun begins, because you can start using all of these icons on the top right to add some fun. So you have to have taken a photo or a video or uploaded a photo or a video before these icons on the top right come up. So working from left to right, the first one is to download it if you want to save it to your phone. The next one, the smiley face with stars, has some filters, so you can play around with those if you'd like to. They're pretty self-explanatory once you tap that button. The next one, with the square smiley face, offers a whole lot more, and I'll go through them on the next slide because there's lots of options there. You can use the squiggly line to draw, change the color and stuff, and that AA is how you can add text, like I've done on that example there, on that story, and you can change the font, the size, the color, and the position. So once you've got that text open, you can type into it and you can see the options to cycle through different fonts. You can pinch it with 2 fingers to make it smaller or bigger, and to move it around on your screen. All right, so I promised you what is in the square smiley face icon. I wish it had a better name, but that's what it is. So if you tap on that icon, these are some of the possibilities that you get straight away. During coronavirus time, you'll see that there's a couple of icons at the top, stay home and thank you, and those are stickers that you can add to your post. But generally speaking, the first one is usually location, then mention, hashtag, and so on. So location, obviously you can show where the photo was taken. If you tap on that location button, it'll add a tag to your story and ask you to choose where you are. So you can either choose a place you are now, Instagram will look around and see what's nearby, or you can just type in, for example, Eiffel Tower, and it will find Eiffel Tower and tag that as a location. That means that other people who are looking in that location might be able to find your story. So that's something that you might want to do. If you use the @mention tag, well, that tags another Instagram user. So for example, if you're tagging a photo of a friend, you might want to tag them, or a cafe or restaurant. Hashtag is, to give a topic for your story. GIF is lots of fun. Go in there. There's lots of fun moving pictures. I love to put, those little kind of fun moving emojis on, because it just adds a bit of, dynamism and life to a photo. Lots of other options in there. Try things out like polls and questions. They can make it really interactive with your friends or followers. So when you've had a play around with all of that, like you can see I did in my my sample one there, then when you finally decided, okay, my story's finished, you can tap the bottom left part where it says your story, and your story will be published on Instagram. So it will be found by anyone who follows you. Your circle of your profile photo will have a line around it, and it will be clear that you've made a story, and they can tap on that and look at it. But you can also choose just to send to your close friends list, or if you tap send to on the bottom right there, then you can send your story just to whoever you particularly choose to. It might be just to one friend. Once it is published, you also get the options to send it to Facebook. Because their stories features are so similar, you can actually just post it on Instagram and Facebook, or you can save it to one of your highlights folders, which can be kind of topics of different Instagram stories that you want to save for more than 24 hours. So once you know how to make an Instagram story, how to make a Facebook story is pretty easy too. So you can see there on my Facebook profile on the right there, right at the top of the newsfeed, there's this option here, create a story. It sometimes will say add to story as well, and that's at the top of your Facebook feed, and you can see other stories are next to it. And similarly, you can select a photo or video, or you can take a new one, just like in Instagram. There are also very similar features compared to the Instagram stories. So you can see on this shot, there's stickers, text, you can draw, use effects, and they have the square smiley face with similar options as well. So don't be afraid to tap around. The worst case scenario is you might accidentally publish something that's there for 24 hours, but if You can also delete that if you do that. So just don't be afraid to tap around and explore all of the fun features. When you finish making your Facebook story, you can just click on Share to Story, that big blue button, and it will be published. In Facebook, there's a few bonuses that you don't get in Instagram. At the step where you usually choose a photo, instead of choosing a photo, you can do things like text, music, a boomerang video. You can post about your mood, do a special selfie, or make a poll. So there's a few extra options in Facebook stories. So I hope that I have given you a taste for the fun of Instagram and Facebook stories. I have taught many people about these over the years, and once they are confident in having a good play around and tap all the buttons, they generally speaking have discovered that it is really something fun to do, and it's really fun to interact with other people's stories as well. So don't be afraid, play around, tap the buttons. There are always new things to find, so Instagram's often changing things up and adding, or sometimes subtracting, but mostly adding new features and new things. So just feel free to tap around and you'll find some fun. And if you're just practicing or concerned, just share it with your close friends, or even just create them and save them to your phone. You don't have to share them. They can just be lots of fun. But I would encourage you to get creative, really enjoy some story fun, and I hope that inspires you to have a go.